Alrighty, hello every folks, and welcome to a thing here. Yeah, it's been absolutely ages, actually months even, since a video came out. Basically, it's been absolute chaos over here, but I wanted to discuss something that I got a chance to try out over the holidays here. So I finally got my hands on a Switch, finally was able to try out triangle strategy and all that kind of thing for something other than secondhand experience and or attempting to rush through it while borrowing a relative's Switch for a little bit. So first of all, yeah, it's actually better than, secondhand experience would lead to believe for sure. There definitely seems to be a bit more care than I originally thought in that whole thing, but that being said, I specifically have FFT up here because, well, I have little Google alerts set up, for every time that something comes up about it or whatever else. And it feels like dang near every article is like, it's a FFT successor, it's the spiritual successor for it. And that's a little confusing because it's got absolutely zero to do with FFT on almost any level. It's got squares. Most SRPGs have squares, but it's got squares, so it's got that going for it. But aside from that, when we look at FFT, its main mechanical difference from just about anything else, really, is just mixing and matching the skills and all that kind of thing. That's its main go-to. You got this one. If we go over to FFTA, it's the same thing over there. Basically, no matter what version of FFTA you're playing, FFT you're playing, it's always about the mixing and matching skills. Occasionally it's got some different stuff in there, but mechanically speaking, the main stuff that I would say is the important part of triangle strategy there is it seems to be all about the choices there. It seems to be entirely about character choices and dealing with the terrain for the purpose of spellcasters and that kind of thing. By the way, I'm not actually doing this whole going right back up thing. I forgot to put the little foam things back in this Vita, so it keeps doing crazy stuff every now and then. Anyway, so point being, FFT entirely about those kinds of choices there. When it comes to the whole comparison with Tactics Ogre, I guess it's a little bit closer because for that one, dialogue choices actually will get characters killed off or whatnot. Actually, one of the funny things looking back at older reviews of FFT, they're like, oh, all these dialogue choices are so important, and there's one choice that'll make a difference of, do you get +5 brave, or do you just not and the fight is slightly easier, and then nothing else does anything. So mechanically speaking, no, them choices did absolutely jack. But point being, yes, nothing to do with FFT on any level. Point being, actually, the one thing that it reminded me of has... Oh, shoot, do it? Oh, I forgot it. Okay, I sold the other Vita. It does not have that save file on here. Okay, whatever. Let's go to Tactics Ogre real quick. The closest comparison I've seen is actually not FFT. It's not Tactics Ogre, not Vagrant Story, not Disgaea. I've seen that one compared a couple times. Not even Fire Emblem. Actually, mechanically, it looks a lot like Fire Emblem because you've got, it would imply a weapon triangle. It didn't seem to have one. Actually, it seemed more like everyone had specific stuff that they just were, either scared of or were just weak to or whatever else. But what it seemed to be closest to is a game that I've been wanting to actually cover and get into and all that kind of thing for a decent while, and that was Berwick Saga. And I'm not going to try to cover that one because it's something that Regdren has done far better than I ever could, so I'll just put his video in the description there. But point being, if you wanted to have a game to tide you over until that comes out, I am hoping to do some videos on it and that kind of thing when it does come out. But if you are looking for something to tide you over, look into Berwick Saga. It's on the PS2. It's actually one of the sole reasons I was looking into potentially trading in this Vita for one of these Retroid things, if they actually do run PS2 games as well as people say they do. Because, yeah, it's basically the original people that did Fire Emblem, right? So when it comes to Fire Emblem and all that kind of thing, if you ever thought, hey, it's a little bit strange how they've kind of swapped what they were doing pretty much across the board, it's largely because it seems like they did. So the original Fire Emblem peoples basically went over to try to do this Berwick Saga thing. I guess they wanted to do their own thing, but they didn't quite have the marketing department for it. But point being, very similar. A lot of interaction with the map, a lot of interesting scenarios, a lot of interesting choices and all that kind of thing. Interestingly enough, you don't even seem to have a permanent roster of characters for the most part. Actually, a lot of them are, well, people that are there for specific reasons and apparently will either leave for story reasons or leave if you didn't pay them. Mounted or unmounted units have like a whole roster of different mounts and all that kind of thing. There's kind of like weird capture mechanics and that kind of thing. Like if somebody's disabled, you can actually capture and ransom them off and all that kind of stuff. It seemed ridiculously cool, and point being, yeah, instead of a like weapon triangle kind of thing, each of the weapons seem to do different stuff. So, for example, like spears seem to be kind of a like momentum sort of weapon. Like you put them on a horse, they do a whole bunch if they move a whole lot. I think if you've played XCOM Long War, kind of like Fleisch, or it seemed like some units were had specific perks for one-on-one fights, like they would keep countering back and forth until someone died, or some of them would always push back, or some of them would always block under certain circumstances. That kind of, at least if I remember that correctly. Point being, it seemed to do what a lot of Funny Shapes game is trying to do there. Now, granted, Triangle seems to be focusing a lot more on the kind of like getting your people to vote on a particular thing kind of situation, which is a cool idea. I will say, after experiencing more of it firsthand, it does seem like a legitimately cool thing. I do plan to pick it up as soon as possible. And yeah, we'll see how it ends up panning out. I don't think it's going to be one of the all-time greats or anything, but it does seem to be neat at any rate. But absolutely nothing to do with FFT. I'm not sure why that comparison keeps getting made, because yeah, mechanically speaking, it's got nothing to do with it. The skills, as far as I can tell, they seem to be something people pick up over time. Kind of like classic RPG style or Fire Emblem style, with them getting certain perks at certain times. Actually, Fire Emblem 8 is probably the closest one that comes to mind, where they had a lot of really oddly specific perks, because a lot of the setups made me think of playing the FE8 self-randomizer a little while ago. But yeah, I would be curious to hear what y'all think about it. So I actually just noticed I left out a little bit there, just kind of a little extra side note, on the stuff that it does seem to copy. So for one thing, can't help but notice that, yeah, the camera work almost seems like it just came directly from Vandal Hearts, like specifically the first one. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but just like the weird like waving around and all that kind of thing. Cutscene wise, I don't know, they kind of felt like Disgaea-esque to me, but that's probably on account of that one bit with the friggin' laser beams. But, overall, it doesn't seem to do too much different there as far as the cutscenes went. A little heavy on the tropes for my liking, but, it is what it is. Let's see. Also, when it came to the map interactions, I've seen it compared with Divinity. From what I've seen, I haven't really gone into that one a decent bit, but that seems to be fairly accurate on that one. As far as the units themselves, actually, a lot of the designs kind of make me think of Banner Saga, actually. I'm kind of curious whether other folks got that vibe as well. Probably specifically because of the shield guy, but, still, there was a decent bit of that kind of stuff. Okay. One thing that it did do that I haven't seen done in other places that more games do need to do, specifically the Ogre series really could have benefited from it, was the profile button, where you basically just like pull up, you just hit a button at any point to see who the hell someone is. Now, it definitely helps with the art style, sure. Actually, I will say, as far as FFT successors, it's a little bit funny to me that the one game that actually was a major FFT successor with Felseal didn't seem to get compared to that as much. They're like, oh, it's just another SRPG, and like it has taken the FFT formula and basically mastered it. But instead, yeah, it just sort of became this kind of odd comparison with Triangle Strategy here. But yeah, overall, definitely from what I've seen of Berwick Saga, it definitely seemed the closest to that one. Anyway, sorry, just wanted to add a couple extra notes on this one. And that's really about it. Take care. Hope you guys had a good one, and back to the normal stuff as soon as Well, as soon as things die down a little bit, stuff's been unbelievably chaotic since the move, so, you know, it goes how it goes. Take care, you guys, and have a good one. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering about this this run over here, this was a test run for something that I want to do in the future. You know, whenever there's more time. But if you ever wondered if there was an even more solo run than the original solo run, there is a soloist run I wanted to try to get done. But either way, we'll do that at some point. You guys have a good one. Take care, and well, probably Happy New Year.